Welcome everyone to our virtual open house for middle years at St. Peter's School. During this open house, we'll try to help you understand our middle years programs and what exactly sets St. Peter's apart from all the international schools in Barcelona. After my brief introduction, the head of upper school, Ms. Roisin Barbato, will explain with further details all about our school project and specifically the middle years programs. If you have any questions during the conference, please remember that you can post your queries through the Zoom chat. There is an icon for this at the bottom of the screen. We'll try to answer all of your questions at the end. And let me now introduce briefly a few points that will help you understand what makes St. Peter's unique. The first one is that we follow the IB methodology from Foundation 3 to Year 12. Meaning that in September, we'll be the only school in Barcelona with the IB continuum. IB, as you may know, means International Baccalaureate, and it's an inquiry and concept-based methodology. I think it's important to underline that we don't follow a British curriculum nor an American curriculum. There are IB schools in many countries, and this makes it easier for families to transfer from one school to another. Additionally, at the end of year 6, the students also can get a certificate of primary education by the Spanish and Catalan government. And at the end of year 10, they also get a certificate of secondary education from the same institution. I also like to highlight that our main language of instruction is English. Not to mention, we believe that being plurilingual is a great benefit for our students. Our teachers and our students have different accents and cultural backgrounds, and that enriches us as individuals and community. And this would be, I think, a starting point for you to consider, St. Peter's School as a good fit for your child. Let me now introduce you to Ms. Roisin, and please remember that if you have any questions, you can post them at the Zoom chat, and we will try to answer them at the end. So Ms. Roisin.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Carmen. It's a pleasure meeting you. As Ms. Carmen has said, my name is Ms. Roisin, and I'm the head of middle years here at St. Peter's School. I'm going to try to take you through a journey through the MYP, the middle years, actually what we're doing here at St. Peter's. And hopefully I won't be too intense, but I will give you enough information for you to have an idea, a general idea of what we do here, okay? So just to start, I would like to take you here. This is where we are, okay? As you see, as Carmen mentioned before, we follow the IB continuum. As she said, we'll be the first school to have it, so we're very proud of this. So we have foundation years first, then primary years, and then the middle years, which is our main focus right now, okay? The middle years, and in particular the MYP program, which from the IB, is a challenging 5-year framework that goes from year 6 to year 10. However, you will see in bold that in our school, it goes from year 6 to year 9 for the middle years, although the program does end in year 10, okay? And this program encourages our students to make practical connections between their studies and the real world, which is one of the reasons why we like it. I will go back to sharing like this, okay? So we can see each other a little, well, you can see me. The program empowers students to inquire into a wide range of issues of significance locally, nationally, and globally, okay? And what we aim with the MYP is to develop active learners and internationally minded young people who can empathize with others and pursue lives of purpose and meaning. I'm going to show you now a diagram, okay, which I'm going to enlarge so you can see it better. Okay, I hope you can see it clearly. In this diagram, you will see, if we look from the center out, that it is a student-centered program, okay? We aim to build on their personal strengths, encourage them to embrace challenges, explore their own preferences, take risks, communicate, learn to reflect, and to develop their own personal identity. How do we do all this? We do this through the IB Middle Years Program methodology, which is inquiry-based. And this, as the word says, it's inquiring. It's asking questions, trying, doing, making mistakes, trying again, for at the end to come to a final conclusion, okay? And this process ends with a reflection. It's about deep thinking. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? And how does it affect the world? And this is going to happen in all subjects. School is a space of experimentation, okay, at all levels. If we go to the second circle, you will see that it says, I hope you can see it clearly, it says approaches to learning, okay. Approaches to learning means what we want is for our students to learn how to learn, okay? They're going to learn how to collaborate. They're going to learn how to research, how to self-manage their time. And especially, we're going to encourage them to think, to learn how to think critically and to be able to communicate these ideas. The outcome that we pursue is that our students will become principled, motivated, risk takers, reflective, thinkers, communicators, to name a few, okay? The next circle, well, in the same circle, sorry, you will see it says there's key concepts and related concepts and global context. The inquiry-based will be led through key concepts such as, for example, change, logic, relationships, and related concepts which are more specific to each subject in itself. So we have, for instance, if we were looking at language and literature, we'd be looking at style or point of view, to name some, okay? Students are also, if we move on to into the next circle, our students are expected to take part in active engagement with their community and a service component, giving back to the community. At our school, at our school, we foster many type of activities where this happens. So for instance, our year 8s right now have written a story with the primary year 4s all together, okay? We have also led fundraising, La Chocolatada Infantil, which was about research for child cancer. We do many other activities such as the MUN, Model of United Nations here in Barcelona, where our students have the opportunity to take part in how the real world works, yes? How are decisions taken that affect the real world? How can we change all this? So this is a way of bringing back to the community, okay, amongst others. You will see that in the final 2 years, just so you go back to the circle, it says action and service, and then it says community project and personal project. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is a 5-year project. In the last year, 2 years, our students will be expected to, in groups, have a community project where they will be looking for an issue in society that they can work on and they can solve or provide a solution, okay? For then, in their final year, work on a personal project, okay? Where they will have to research and work on actually designing a product, just to say it this way, with a product that can help also society, okay, or provide solutions. So this is expected for them to do in year 10. In the biggest circle you will see that we have groups of subjects, okay? In these groups of subjects, we have language and literature, okay? These are just the groups. This doesn't mean these are the subjects we are doing in St. Peter's, okay? It is and it isn't. I'll explain now. When we say language and literature, here at St. Peter's, we have 2 subjects under that title, okay? So we have English language and literature, and we also have Spanish language and literature, okay? Then we also have language acquisition. For instance, in our school, we have Catalan and French as language acquisition. Individuals and societies, which is our subject of global perspectives, exonomics, okay, many subjects that perhaps if we meet one day, we'll be able to go into more detail. You will also see math, you will see science. Science will obviously include our biology, chemistry, physics, environmental science, systems and societies, and natural sciences for the younger ones. And then we will have design, where we have robotics, exponentials, computer science, digital designs. These are all subjects that we do here at St. Peter's. And then for arts, we have music or visual arts. And finally, PE and health, where we also have our PE lessons here at school to keep fit, okay? Moving on. This would be what MYP is, the IB Middle Years program is, and this is the way it is designed, and this is the way it is implemented at school, okay? However, the IB provides a framework, okay? And we really like its methodology, and that's why we choose this program. On the other hand, we have freedom of choosing the content we're doing, okay? Because we don't follow a particular curriculum. So we have designed the content for ours. I'm going to move on to the next slide, okay? So I'm just going to put it up big for a minute. Okay, I will just start. For us at St. Peter's, you will see these 3 points: inquiry-based methodology, meaningful content, and well-being. These would be, to say it in a summarized way, our 3 main pillars, okay? So we believe in inquiry-based, as I was saying before, asking questions, trying, doing, making mistakes, coming to conclusions, reflecting, okay? But another point of view that we think is very, very important is the content. We believe content has to be meaningful for our students. At St. Peter's, we strive to completely change the content we teach. I will go back here for a minute. Okay, we strive to change this content. Can you see me? Oh, okay. Yeah. As we all know, times are changing rapidly, and education needs to keep up with this speed, okay, to ensure our students are well prepared for 2030, for instance, instead of for the 1950s, because as we all know, that's way back, okay? For this reason, and after research on what we believe will be the main problems of the world in the next 30 years, we have adapted the content we teach. We believe in 3 main pillars, and I will go back here for a second. We believe in factfulness, exponentials, and change makers, okay? For factfulness, I would like to say that what it means for us is that we, for our students, we aim for them to know the real world based on facts, and we want to foster their critical thinking. And this is led through many activities that we do, okay? I don't want to extend a lot on this because I'm going to invite some teachers now to give you an example of these 3 points in reality, in the subjects, what we're actually doing. Okay, for exponentials, just to say it short, we believe science and technology are evolving fast, and we are focusing on boosting these at school. Therefore, we are looking into genetics, neuroscience, nanotechnology, as well as new paradigms such as blockchain, for instance. All this boost in the content goes hand in hand with philosophy and ethics, as we believe this new technology and science also has to be questioned. How is this really helping us in the world, okay? And finally, change makers. We promote leadership at school, creativity, adaptability, and communication skills in order to come up with solutions to the real world's problems, especially orientated, as we all know, into environmental systems right now, okay? So therefore, just to kind of summarize, we believe that an inquiry-based learning combined with this strong, meaningful content will ensure our students will be ready for the final years after the MYP, which are the diploma program. Okay, so we want to make sure that we leave them ready for this final adventure. Okay, and now I don't want to talk too much, but I thought it would be nice to meet 3 of our teachers, and they're going to give you an insight as well of what the actual teaching, the subjects in themselves are like. Okay, so I'm going to first of all put my mask on because I have to go and find Mr. Cooper, who is waiting for me outside. Mr. Cooper? Mr. Cooper is our Year 7 English teacher, and I'm going to introduce him to you now. Oops, sorry, this one. Hi, Mr. Cooper.
Hello, everybody.
All yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mr. Cooper. So I'm representing the English department, and I also teach critical media literacy. So I'm going to speak to you about that subject too. So in English, we like to develop students who are knowledgeable, able to show critical thinking skills. They're reflective, they're open-minded, they're caring, and they're empathetic. English, especially English literature, enables us to develop empathetic skills in our students. And ultimately, what we want to create are creative students who are able to tackle problems in creative ways and think of new solutions to problems. We want to develop language skills in our students to enable them to communicate their ideas, to enable them to communicate with others. We do this via presentations, role plays, and as well as more traditional essays. Developing language enables us to develop their creativity. In order to be creative, you need to be able to use language in an accurate way. In the English department, we focus on developing students' understanding, their analytical skills, and their creativity. In order to do this, we explore themes within international contexts. So we approach themes in ways that are to make them relevant to students, so they are interested in them. For example, current events and things that they are seeing in society around them are things that we draw on. Ultimately, what we want to create in our students is a lifelong interest in reading. And you'll see many of our students here at St. Peter's walking around at break times and lunch times reading books. And we need to sometimes drag them away from reading their books at lunchtime and break time. Also, in the English department, we like to think that studying literature enables us to help our students have an appreciation of different cultures and of historical events. And I'm going to explain some of that to you now. So in Year 6, for example, our students have recently been studying a book called Ruby-Tanya. This book explores big themes such as racism, prejudice, and friendship. It encourages tolerance and cultural understanding, and students really enjoyed this book. Also in Year 6, as part of a unit entitled Do You Believe in Magic?, our students studied Alice in Wonderland. This enables our students to explore the fantasy genre. It makes them think, what if? Explore the question, what if? The famous fantasy adventure is great for getting kids to ask questions and to consider alternative realities, and also to develop their critical and lateral thinking skills. In Year 7, I am the Year 7 teacher, so we're currently studying The Tempest by Shakespeare. This is part of a unit which is called The Power of the Tempest. And we tackle questions such as, what is power? How do people achieve power? How is power misused? And we do this within the context of colonialism. Students have been researching empires, and they have been finding out about the ways in which colonial powers exploited other countries and the resources that they found in those countries. What we want to do is to enable students to make connections between what they're seeing in the play and the colonial context. One thing we also do in English is differentiate. So we support students whose level of English might not be as strong as their peers. And to do this, not only do we have them study the original Shakespearean language of the play, but we also read it alongside the graphic novel. And so we're able to develop understanding as well as to stretch and challenge more able students. In year 9, students are studying a unit called Accountable Freedom. And as part of this, they're studying George Orwell's Animal Farm. The unit tackles issues such as the Russian Revolution, the rise of communism, totalitarianism, and all of this is studied within the context of space and time, especially revolutions around the world and issues such as social justice. In year 10, as part of a unit called The Quest for Justice, students are studying To Kill a Mockingbird. So you see, we like to study texts from around the world, from different cultures, from different countries, as part of our syllabus. In this unit, The Quest for Justice, they are learning about the justice system in the US. They're learning about the racial system, about the racial struggles of the 1950s, and making connections with modern day Black Lives Matter. We want students to study poetry as well as literature, as well as books. And we want them to study poetry in a creative way. This is a project which is called Blackout Poetry. This consists of students engaging with a text and finding their own meaning, picking out words in order to make their own poems, and then presenting this in a visually creative way. Here you have another example of Blackout Poetry. Again, students are analyzing at the same time as being creative in their analysis. That is for English. I also teach critical media literacy to year 9 at the moment. And this is a subject which is a combination of philosophy and media studies, where we enable students to think critically about the modern world, in particular, the media in that modern world. Unit 1 before Christmas, we studied post-truth. Students found out about the ways in which truth is manipulated by the media, by politicians, by advertising, for example. They found out about how new realities are created by the people behind the media. For example, fake news. Our students learn how to identify a piece of fake news. They learn why fake news is created in the first place. The final project of Unit 1 was a research project about the tobacco industry in the 1950s. Our students researched the type of campaigns that the tobacco industry used to rely upon, about the ways in which they twisted the truth, and the ways in which they used post-truth in order to get people smoking and to encourage people to keep on smoking. Students created presentations related to this theme. Unit 2, at the moment, we are studying the media and reality. How does the media construct the reality that we experience? For example, stereotypes. How do the media represent stereotypes? How do they represent cultures and people using stereotypes? And how does that itself influence the way in which we see the world around us? They are focused in particular on stereotypes in music videos, and part of the project will include them designing their own music videos in order to subvert stereotypes. And that is it from me for English and from critical media literacy. And now I'm going to hand over to Miss Mara Goss, who teaches science and exponentials.
Hi, everybody. My name is Miss Maragos, and I teach the middle years program Science and Exponential Sciences between year 6 and year 10. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about how the MYP and St. Peter's approaches science as a class and as a discipline. Basically, what we do know is that we're currently living in complicated, very interesting times. We have information at our fingertips, and not only is it important for students to know fact from fiction, to be able to recognize fake news from scientific evidence or claims that are based from scientific evidence, it's also important that they're well aware of these exponential sciences, these fields of technology and science that is increasing exponentially, and that will affect their future, the students' future, whether it's in medicine, whether it's the way they interact, whether it's the way they do banking, and so forth. So when we're in the MYP program here at St. Peter's, students have the opportunity to learn about not only the traditional sciences such as physics, chemistry, and biology, but they also have the opportunity to learn these exponential sciences. Exponential sciences such as neuroscience, which has an emphasis on the teenage brain. There's been a lot of research these past few years about the teenage brain and how it's still maturing, and it really does provide an insight as to how teenagers behave, which is important for teenagers to actually know about. Not only that, but they also have an opportunity to learn about cryptocurrency, about genetic modification, as well as artificial intelligence and robotics. And therefore, these subjects are preparing our students not only to learn about the complexities that the future holds, but also to learn about the implications that these new technologies that are increasing exponentially will have on not only their future, but the future of medicine and the future of how they interact with each other. So I'll just give you just a small example of our genetics topic. What I do is that I have students create a DNA molecule using candy. All right, and as you can see, if I fold it, you can actually see the double helix structure over here. And this allows students, obviously, to understand the structure of the DNA double helix, the way it functions and how it functions based on that structure, but it also gives them an insight. And we also talk a little bit about the controversy that came about with the discovery of the DNA double helix. With that, then we move on to having students in the lab use plasmid technology to make regular E. coli, non-pathogenic E. coli bacteria fluorescent. And then towards the end of the topic, we talk about the implications of gene editing technology, such as CRISPR, that won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry this past year. And these are just examples that shows that, you know, it's not only about the hard science, but it's also about the what does this mean for collaboration among scientists? What does this mean for how medicine will look like in the future when we talk about individualized medicine? And that's just a bit of an insight of what we talk about. And we do this when we talk about the ethics and the implications of all these exponential technologies. We do this in a P4C method. So philosophy for children, where students actually come up with their own questions and they answer them and they agree and disagree in a very respectful manner, where they're not judged, but they really put their ideas forward about how what this looks like for their future and the future of humanity. Now, I also wanted to mention that with all this, with all these implications about the future and the exponential sciences and regular sciences, our goal is not only for them to be able to think critically, but really it's for them to become lifelong learners to always be able to strive to learn more, to think about things critically, to think about things creatively as well, and to be ready for this complex world, this complex, amazing world that awaits for them, that they will be part of, and that they will strive and succeed in. Thank you. Now, if you have any questions, you can feel free and ask, I think, after the presentations. Right now, I am going to introduce you to two teachers. We have Miss Gael, who also teaches exponential sciences, and we also have Miss Roses, who teaches Exonomics. Thank you for your time.
Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Miss Roses. I teach MYP Middle Years Program Exonomics.
And I am Miss Gael, and I teach middle years exponential and technology.
Yes, so what I'll do is I'll give you a little bit of overview about Exonomics as a course. Pretty much it's an interdisciplinary course that combines elements of business, technology, and design. So usually within the year, what we have is we start off with the fundamentals of economics. So the students understand the economic way of thinking, they understand scarcity and things like that. And then moving on to the second unit, the students learn financial literacy. This is where they learn about the difference between, let's say, savings versus investing. They learn about budgeting skills, for instance. They learn concepts that they take from economics into how does the financial system work, for instance, and central banks, what is the role? And then moving on to the third phase of the course is we do something called design thinking, which is a creative methodology that we use for problem solving. And design thinking really helps the students visualize their ideas and ideate. So for instance, in the last few weeks, we did a design thinking sprint where the students learn to, for instance, empathize, make sure they understand the users and customers. They learn how to define problems, specifically reframing problems to make sure that they know the right problems to solve. Allows them to ideate their ideas and work in groups. And I think the most important thing about this methodology is the prototyping stage. So this allows them to really put their ideas into life, to be able to view it in visual form. And the last is the test stage, where they bring it out to users, they get feedback, and they learn from the whole experience and making iterations. So that's design thinking, which really encourages them to identify problems or opportunities for design to create solutions. And then also from there, we go over entrepreneurship. So the course, a lot of it is basic business management foundation work, but also through Eric Ries's startup, the lean startup model, which the students learn the build, measure, learn, and also the business model generation. So they learn how to design and create various business models for startups, for instance.
So during the first semester, they've learned in economics, and with me, they've learned the blockchain technology. And during the second semester, they are going to create their startup. And last year, they did a digital online shop. This year, we are planning on doing a website or a shop online or an application, depending on what is their plan for their startup. So they are building the brand, the management,
yes,
and the business plan of their startup. So this is in year 8.
Okay, and then one other project with it besides the design thinking that really resonated well and got a lot of engagement from students was during the financial literacy phase. They learned how to research different companies, and we did a stock simulator game where they were able to pick on various startups or tech companies or traditional companies where they had to invest in. And then maybe in the end of a 2-month period, they try to analyze, okay, was this a good business decision or investment decision? So that really, the students really enjoyed that experience.
Yeah, and they also did it with cryptocurrencies. So they could compare the two worlds too and get to know the new technologies and the new startups.
Yeah, so that pretty much sums up the course of economics and then Ms. Gael's course. Now we're just gonna pass you on to Ms. Roisin.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm back. Well, thank you so much for being with us and listening to our teachers. I would finally like to say, and I'm going to pass on to our next slide just to finish, okay? We are reaching the end of this presentation. And I wouldn't like for it to finish without mentioning that apart from all the content we do inside the classroom and all the methodology that we work with our students inside the classroom, we believe in experiencing many other outdoor activities. As you see here, we go scuba diving, we take part in charity, we go to robotics competitions, MUNs for Barcelona, so many activities that take place outside the classroom that for us it's very, very, very important. And also, and the last point that we had in the slide that we had previous to that was our well-being. We care for our students, we are there for them, okay? We believe in teachers who can provide that support our students need at all times, and from respect, and which is what we basically believe in, okay? For our students and from them and for all the community at school. So I think we've spoken quite a lot now, and I'd like to go back to Karma, yes, in case I believe there are questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Rosin, and also the teachers, Mr. Cooper, Ms. Moragos, Ms. Gael, and Ms. Roses. I think it was very insightful. Thank you very much. So now let me briefly explain our admissions experience in case you are interested, right? As I said earlier, we know how important it is for your family to decide on the best school for your children. This is why our objective is to help you weigh up all the different options so that your decision can be taken with all the necessary information and advice that you require. So the next steps after this open house would be to schedule an interview with your child and our teachers for them to get to know each other. And this will be a great opportunity to visit our school, our facilities in person, following, of course, our COVID-19 protocol at the moment. To organize the interview, I think you have my contact, so you can reach me and I will be happy to organize it, okay? And then after the interview, and if you decide that St. Peter's is a good fit for you, I would explain in detail how to complete the admissions process, right? So later in September, just to take into account, students will start the first week of the month. And on that very first day, it will be only for new children. On that day, they will have the opportunity to meet with their teachers in order to facilitate their transition. And during the first month, our admissions department will work very closely with the heads of the state, like Ms. Rosen, and also with their teachers to make sure that the children and their families feel welcome and everything is in place. If you have any questions during this period or any time later, please do not hesitate to contact us. And this is pretty much also what I have to say today. We can take a look at your questions and maybe Ms. Rosin or myself will be happy to answer that, okay? So Ms. Rosin, tell me, there was one, I think one parent asked, was comparing the British curriculum with the Spanish curriculum. He asked me if the children born in 2009 we're going to apply for year 6, and I already answered him saying that the next year for them, that would be year 7, right? Because it's a little bit different how we allocate the students here at St. Peter's. It goes just a little bit different, but in the end, I was explaining to you before, Mr. Bennett, that we finish in year 12 and in written, they finish in grade 13, right? So it's, in the end, it's the same, right?
Yes.
So the following question was about sports at St. Peter's, how we do sports here.
Okay. Yes, we do 2 hours a week of PE with our students, and we practice many different sports along with learning about health related to sport and how to keep a healthy life. different sports we practice are, we do some judo, depending on the years. There are different activities for each year. We do judo, we practice paddle, we do volleyball, football, badminton. So, but that is all included in the curriculum. Okay, so throughout the year, depending on the year your child is at, they will be practicing one sport or another, or 2 or 3 different sports. Okay.
There are also some after-school activities. For example, we have soccer, of course, after-school activities in a normal year, not this one because we don't have after-school activities because due to the COVID-19. But you have, for example, soccer, you also have volleyball, you also have basketball if we have a group that is big enough. So yeah, we kind of offer these kind of activities. We don't have any other questions here, but I think some parent asked me on how much English do we teach, or in which language our subjects are taught.
Yes, our subjects are taught in English, except for other languages, and mainly all our other subjects are taught in English. PE is also taught in Spanish. That's our main language here at school, although we provide for the needs of other students' language needs, but that's our main language here at school. So math, science, global, all the subjects are taught in English.
Okay, and I had also another question. It's not on the chat, but I remember that one of the families that was inquiring before the open house asked me about the way in which we evaluate. Okay, because I know it's a little bit different in the middle years programs within the IB.
Yes, that's right. The assessment in the IB is quite it's quite a challenge in itself to understand. It is different to other systems in terms it's not a grade out of 10 for starters. It's a grade out of 7. But the most important aspect of the assessment is that we look at the student and see how the student is developing and how they're evolving from an individual point of view, not comparing the student to the rest of the class. So our main objective is for our student to progress at their speed individually. Each subject has 4 criterions that they follow to assess the subject. So the grade they get has been thoroughly studied and thought for. So yes, I think it's a very long topic to go into. If anybody had any more interest in knowing about it, we'd be happy to have a meeting or send information about it, because it's quite an extensive topic.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we don't have any other questions, or maybe if anyone wants to ask something else. No, we don't. I see. However, if you have any other questions later on, you know that you can contact us and we will be happy to help you and solve your doubt. Okay.
I would just like to say thank you everybody for attending this virtual open house. We would be very, very happy to meet you in person and answer any of those questions that you may have, or you will have perhaps in the future. And it would be a pleasure to meeting you. Okay.
And if anyone prefers to have the explanation in Spanish, also you can contact me and we can organize an interview to explain you in detail everything. Okay, we'll be happy to that. Maybe I would like to insist also that apart from that, apart from the IB methodology and the IB titles and certificates, our students also get the certificate by the Ministry of Education here in Spain. So when they finish year 6, they also get the certificate of primary education. And when they finish year 10, which is in the stage of review, we're going to have the open house just in 20 minutes later from when we finish with Ms. Rosen, they also get the certificate of secondary education. So in case they want to stay here and continue studying here in Spain, it's also a plus, it's a benefit. And this is everything.
Okay.
Routine, shall we finish the open house?
Thank you very much for attending, and we hope to see you soon.